It's Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 big stories to race through in 5 minutes, so we better get going. Story number 1, shareholders have agreed to Irish group CRH's purchase of Adbri, meaning the company will disappear from the ASX. Now, this adds to what is a growing list of companies, more than 30 now, to have disappeared from the local bourse this year alone.
By my count, there are 32 companies that have delisted this year. They may not be large, but there's a lot of them. They include companies like AVZ Minerals, Link Administration, Boart Longyear, Black Mountain Energy, Whisper, Costa Group, Carbon Minerals, Sezzle, Allcom. In recent years, there have been some very large companies disappearing from the exchange. Think Sydney Airport Corporation, Afterpay, Oz Minerals, to name a few. Newcrest is another, though its acquirer, Newmont Resources, has a secondary listing on the ASX. The scary thing is that there are just very few new companies coming along to take their place. Just 45 IPOs last year compared to the long-run average of about 120. The Guzman y Gomez float scheduled for later this month is an IPO, but generally the cupboard is bare. Anyway, back to Adbri. More than 97% of proxy votes were cast in favour of the CRH buyout, and the company formerly known as Adelaide Brighton, with a history in the Australian building industry dating back to 1881, is now Irish-owned.
Sean, why aren't we seeing big companies list in Australia? And I suppose that the next question is, are there any out there that might list and kind of give a bit of oomph to the market?
The obvious float for the Australian market is Canva, the online graphic design group valued at around $40 billion. The group began in Perth. It's expected to hit the market next year, but it will be in the US, mostly because the pools of capital run much, much deeper than in Australia. Listing on NASDAQ, if you can, is much more attractive than Australia. Yesterday, founder Cliff Obrecht was at the Morgan Stanley Australia Summit. He basically sold Canva the whole speech. Life360, the online tracking business listed here last week, it debuted on NASDAQ in an effort to lift its profile over there. Occasionally, a mid-sized cap buys something that makes it big here, like Sigma's buying Chemist Warehouse, for example. But in short, big companies don't list on the ASX unless their business is very locally focused, and that hasn't happened for a long while.
All right, on to story number 2 now. Trade Minister Don Farrell said local winemakers have sold $86 million of stock to Chinese consumers since April, when Beijing dropped its punitive tariffs on Aussie exports.
He was speaking at a winery in South Australia's McLaren Vale, which was particularly apt because this weekend Chinese Premier Li Qiang is due to visit Australia, beginning in Adelaide and commencing with lunch at a winery with the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Mr Farrell. It signifies further easing in relations between Beijing and Canberra, which have improved since the election of the Labor government. Meanwhile, a poll shows that 35% of Australians will factor in Australia's China policy when they vote at the next election. That's according to the Australia-China Relations Institute and Centre for Business Intelligence and Data Analytics at the University of Technology.
Sean, story number 3, the Mining and Energy Union has filed same job, same pay applications against BHP's labour hire firms. This is the first time the Albanese government's new laws will be significantly tested. This is a big one.
It sure is. The application seeks to lift the pay of about 1,700 workers by between $10,000 and $40,000 a year. BHP last year said the new laws would cost the company an extra $1.3 billion a year, equivalent to 5,000 full-time workers. The workers are employed across 3 open-cut mines and paid by 3 companies, Workpac, Chandler McLeod, and Operations Services, which is actually a BHP subsidiary. The cases are complex because you have to compare workers on the basis of skills, rosters, pay, including bonuses, that type of stuff. MEU Queensland President Mitch Hughes said it was important to address what he called BHP's labour hire rort, given it's the biggest player in the coal industry, and the application is a major step forward towards changing the model.
Story number 4, the number of job ads over the past year have fallen by about 18% as the slowdown really hits the economy.
Online employment company Seek says national job ads fell 0.6% in May, 17.9% over the past year. The number of applicants per job has also increased. The areas where job ads have fallen most include hospitality and tourism, manufacturing and transport and logistics. The flip side, healthcare and medical and education and training, job ads have risen. New South Wales had the sharpest decline, followed by Queensland and Victoria. Of course, this all comes ahead of today's May unemployment figures.
Sean, last one. Story number 5. Apple's unveiling of its artificial intelligence offering for smartphones, including a new version of Siri, has sent its share price up 7%, pushing its market capitalization back above $3 trillion US, now threatening to overtake Microsoft as Wall Street's biggest company.
Between them, the three big tech titans, Microsoft, Apple, and chipmaker Nvidia, are worth more than $9 trillion US. That's about 14 trillion Aussie dollars. It's about the equivalent of the local residential property market, all of it, plus all the money invested in superannuation. Last week, Nvidia had become the second largest tech company over Apple. This week, Apple fought back. In the battle of the tech companies, Microsoft now has a market cap of $3.22 trillion US. Apple's at $3.18 trillion. Nvidia's at $2.97 trillion US. They comprise more than 20% of the S&P 500, which, as the name suggests, has 500 stocks. Clearly, the rumours of big tech's demise have not eventuated.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible story, that one. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 business news by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.